When I released my last max difficulty Oblivion video, there were plenty of strategies that didn't make the cut, and hundreds of comments about the different techniques I could use to complete what is easily one of the worst balanced difficulty options in video game history. So I made a list, and I'm checking it twice, of the weirdest strategies for Oblivion on max difficulty. So let's not waste any time and prepare to chug the jug. Now I hear some of you ask, what makes the difficulty so bad in this game? Well, enemies get 6 times more HP and do 6 times more damage than they would on normal difficulty. So, for my character, I pick a Breton. 50% resistance to magic and a free extra 50 magicka is so much better than almost all of the other racial passives. Surviving the tutorial, and that sentence alone says quite a lot, is mostly just about staying behind the blades, because their damage is unaffected by the difficulty. But once they leave me, I have to duel some rats. This will give anyone unfamiliar with this game a taste of Bethesda's mastery of balancing a game on high difficulty. But it's nothing that running away and shooting a few fireballs can't handle. The rest of the tutorial is more of the same. Just run away from every enemy and wait an hour to heal after every kill. Whenever I get an opportunity, an environmental kill is appreciated too. Traps are unaffected by the difficulty too. Are you starting to see a pattern? Anything that is not me directly dealing damage to something is the same as any other difficulty. After about 2 in-game days of arduously wading through the basic enemies in the tutorial, I meet back up with the Emperor, who's still here somehow. This is the worst escape of all time. I take the mage sign for 50 extra magicka, then the Emperor dies, and I get absolutely blitzed by the assassin. Then it happens again. And again. The Emperor didn't stand a chance against this guy. Eventually he's defeated, and I make a custom class full of magic skills to level easily. I am then bombarded with DLC pop-ups. And not to brag, but I even got the horse armor. That's all thanks to our YouTube channel members. Wait, what do you mean there's one? Yeah, alright, yeah, sure, fine. This video is dedicated to you, Dave. I see you. Anyone else who wants to support the channel? Join for as little as $1 today. Also, I forgot to put it in the script. Like, comment, subscribe. Thanks. After traversing the rest of the sewers, I exit the tutorial, and our journey officially starts now. Before doing anything, I want to get my money up. I do the apples method to get some quick gold. Head to Fort Farragut, open this very hard lock on this barrel, on the first try no less. Crazy how good you can get when you play the same game on and off for the better part of 2 decades. In here, there's 10 poison apples. Grab them, go somewhere else, and wait 3 days for them to respawn. Then just return and grab more. Easy. After a little grinding, I'm able to buy the mage tallow candles in order to make custom spells. I make a quick sell spell, charm 100 points and fortify mercantile on self to get the best prices and make this farm just a little bit more efficient. Then, a little while later, I have more than enough gold for what I need at the moment. This is normally the part where I would grind some levels to be as strong as possible, but the time has come to reveal the first strategy on my list. Method 1. The no level. In Oblivion, as you level, you encounter stronger enemies. This is of course balanced by you also becoming stronger as you level. But what if you just remained level 1 forever? This means you can level your skills and find gear to make yourself stronger, and still only have to fight the weakest enemies the game has to offer. The only issue is that most items scale with your level, so you can't get too powerful early. That being said, Bethesda did not care at all when they placed the strongest staff in the game for sale in Rindir's staffs. Apotheosis. Just before I set the game's story into motion, I make a soul trap spell at the spellmaker in my wizard tower in order to keep this staff charged. I venture over to Wayne Priory and give the amulet to Joffrey.
By the 9! This is the Amulet of Kings.
who then tells me to go find Uriel Septim's son in Kvatch.
You must go to Kvatch and find him at once.
So I journey up to Kvatch, the sky turns evil, and an Oblivion gate has razed the city. My staff is strong enough to two-shot the scamps, which I cannot stress enough is crazy strong. I'm so confident that I tell Savlian that I'm going to go into the gate and close it myself.
If you make it back alive, we'll be waiting for you.
Apotheosis is almost strong enough to one-shot the scamps, so I soften them up with a few fireballs first to preserve my limited charges. This gives you a really good perspective of the kind of damage that this staff is capable of. Once I make it to the tower, I two-tap a few more enemies, until near the top, my staff runs out of charges. Even though these are some of the weakest enemies in the game, fighting them normally would double the runtime on this video. So I just ignore all the remaining Daedra and run straight to the top to grab the Sigil Stone. I don't bother resetting for a specific enchantment, because it's a level 1 Sigil Stone. Who cares?
Close the gate. I knew you could do it. This is our chance to launch a counterattack.
Once inside the city with the guards, I decide I've already contributed my fair share, and I just let the guards do everything for me, before heading inside to say to Martin, let's get out of this town, out of the city, away from the crowds. Heaven can't help me now. Nothing lasts forever. There's a reference for the female viewers. Hope to have some one day. Upon our return to Wayne Priory, we're ambushed by Mythic Dawn assassins.
Help! You must help! They're killing everyone at Wayne Priory.
I'm not fully sure how they scale with regards to your level, but they seem pretty strong to me. Was that like 80% health, dude? After dealing with all the assassins outside, we rush into the chapel to save Joffrey.
We should check the chapel. Come on. Good evening.
Yeah, you do, man. We're kind of in the middle of something here, though. We clear out all the remaining assassins, and go to check on the Amulet of Kings.
They've taken it! The Amulet of Kings is gone! The enemy has defeated us at every turn!
Joffrey then suggests taking Martin to Cloud Ruler Temple.
Cloud Ruler Temple, I think. The hidden fortress of the Blades in the mountains near Bruma.
Over in Cloud Ruler Temple, Martin makes a beautiful speech.
My name is Jeff.
Joffrey. Not much of a speech, was it?
And now with him safe in Cloud Ruler Temple, I have time to grind some levels. You can absolutely stay at level 1 forever, but where's the fun in that? I'll skim over it because I do it in a lot of these videos, but I make a few spammable spells in order to grind all the relevant magic skills to 100. After, I don't know, a few minutes, a few hours, I go into kind of a vegetative state during this. I end up at level 22. This is the level where new items and enemies mostly stop spawning in, so there's not much reason to go past this, for now anyway. Also, before advancing any further, I grabbed a few conjuration spells from the Coral Mages Guild, because the summons are, say it with me, unaffected by the difficult— yeah, see, you're getting it now. Back in Cloud Ruler Temple, Joffrey tells me where to check in on Boris.
Boris may have learned something about the assassins.
So I go and pay him a visit.
Listen, I'm going to get up in a minute and walk out of here. That guy in the corner behind me will follow me. You follow him.
Boris and the Faded Wraith dispatch of the Mythic Dawn spy fairly easily. And I find a mysterious book on his body. Boris then tells me to take it to Tarmina in the Arcane University.
There's a scholar at the Arcane University. Tarmina's her name. Supposed to be an expert on Daedric cults.
I take it to her, and she tells me that there are 4 volumes of the book I need to find in order to track down the Mythic Dawn. She gives me the 2nd volume.
Here, you can have the library's copy of Volume 2. Treat it gently, if you please.
Then I check over in the 1st edition. They tell me somebody's on their way to pick up Volume 3.
Special order. Already paid for by another customer. So sorry I can't help you.
After he arrives, I follow him, waiting for the perfect time to steal the book. Unfortunately, half the city also wants to follow him too for some reason. A lot of people trying to join this cult. After a while, he ends up at the Tiber Septim Hotel, and I get arrested for failing to pickpocket him, not once,
Filthy pickpocket!
not 3 times,
Stop!
but 2 times, before I just give up and ask for the book.
Yes, of course.
He also tells me about a meeting he had planned to get the 4th book. The meeting is in the sewers, and Boris insists on joining me down there.
Let's go. I know that part of the sewers well.
Although Boris is at the prison for some reason, so we walk all the way back to Luther Broad's boarding house. And then when we get there, we walk back where we came from to get back to the sewers. Is the meeting time just whenever? We're probably on some kind of schedule here, Boris. Can you act like it, please? In the sewers, it's time to deploy the 2nd strategy on my list. Not only summoning, but healing my summons too, and taking on a full pacifist support role. So, editor, shorten that one down for me. Thank you. This strategy is boring as hell. But it works. You just kind of stand there and watch the fights happen without contributing much, and that's the main reason I chose it for this mission. I knew it wouldn't be very interesting, and this mission is pretty short. At the end of the sewers, I allow Boris to go into the meeting. We get spotted.
Someone else here!
It's nice to actually have a way to stop Boris dying in this, especially because with him, as well as the summon, things go fairly well. Also, it turns out that the Mundane Ring is a guaranteed drop from Raven Cameron if you're a high enough level. This is the strongest item in the whole game. 50% magic resist added onto the 50 I got from being a Breton makes me fully immune to all magic, which is good. Before I return the books, I want to prepare myself for the road ahead, and I want 2 things. 1. A quick way to travel across the map. This saves me from getting eaten by wolves, saves time, and it's also just really cool. 2. A way to deal with the huge room of Mythic Dawn cultists at the shrine. We'll start with the travelling. First, I buy a couple spells just to unlock them at the spellcrafter. And after that, we're gonna have some fun with the old weakness to magic, fortify, and drain combo. For the uninitiated, in short, I use weakness to magic spells on a summon which stack exponentially. Then when I fortify their stats, it's multiplied a lot, getting whatever stat I want to fortify into the 6, 7, or even 8 digits. I then use a draining spell on it, and end up with 14 million speed. Very nice. When I tap the move key, I shoot off at the speed of sound, and the game just breaks. This loading screen does not ever end. I could probably drain less speed and only have a measly million, and the game might work at that point, but I'm kind of an all or nothing guy, so I'm gonna do something else. Betwixt these 2 buildings in Breville, from around midnight until 4 AM, Nordenor sells 5 skooma. Buy some, travel away for 3 days, and come back for more until I have a healthy supply. The huge speed buff they give me should be more than enough for what I need. With my transport issue solved, I need something for dealing with the big room of cultists. As we all know, enemies on this difficulty are basically impervious to all forms of damage I deal, but what if I just dealt a stupid high amount of damage to overcome this? Surely this will be enough to deal with a couple mages. I give a spell of this caliber a fitting name. Method 3. The Overpowering Method. I'm now ready to deliver the books to Tarmina, who deciphers the puzzle therein.
Are you familiar with Green Emperor Way? The gardens around the Imperial Palace? Something must be revealed there at noon. How exciting.
I go to Green Emperor Way, and this thing on the wall tells me where to go. Unfortunately, the cave is all the way over there, so it's time to drink some skooma. In Oblivion, there is sadly a potion limit. You can only drink 4 at a time before the game stops you from ODing, over drinking. There's no way that I know of to completely bypass this, but if you drink 4 skooma and then quickly close the menu and open it again, you can drink another 4. This only works once and you can't do it again to get to 12. So I drink 8 skooma. Okay, we're here. Inside, I drop my mundane ring before handing all my gear to Harrow,
Very good.
so I can pick it right back up and have it on the inside. Here's a little trivia note. At this point in time, the game has you marked as a Mythic Dawn member, and when you do a power attack, you have a chance to hear your character speak.
Ah! Die, unbeliever! Ha! For Lord Dagon!
This is the only time you ever hear your character speak, ignoring general combat grunting noises. Inside, Mankar Cameron vibrates into another reality. and it's time to see if my plan actually works. So while everyone is waiting for me to sacrifice the prisoner, I summon a skeleton, fortify his intelligence to the millions, and drain it all to get enough magicka for my big fireball spell.
Donald Trump, please save me. Please save me, Donald Trump, please.
Oh, Lord Dagon! The dawn is breaking!
I tried this a few times, but every time I do it, Harrow survived. And it was only when writing the script that I realized it's because he's a dark elf and has a big resistance to fire. At least these guys are pretty nonchalant about it. This is how I would react if I were immolated. If I made it any other kind of damage, this would have worked perfectly. But in the end, I had to settle for killing everyone, and then running around with the lightning staff I scavenged from a dead body, which still wasn't enough, so I had to hide until he killed himself with reflect damage. Allowing myself to go all out just this once left me with permanently damaged intelligence. No amount of waiting fixes this. I do eventually get it fixed when I get blessed at a chapel, and I've no idea why it works. Leaving the shrine is fairly simple, because my Daedroth summon makes easy work of any of the remaining cultists. After escaping, I return the Mysterium Xarxes to Martin, and he tells me to go check in with Joffrey to deal with some spies in Bruma.
He was concerned about reports of spies in Bruma.
Joffrey then tells me the situation,
But these spies must be eliminated.
and the spy mission affords me some unique opportunities. For this mystery strategy, I need to get some soul gems. I also need to get this blue hood. No other item in the game can achieve what this unassuming blue hood can do. But killing this guard is not easy. So I make some weakness to magic spells and a big cold spell to blast him with a couple thousand cold damage.
Stop!
I pay the bounty, but it's a small price to pay for one of the strongest items in the game. This is just for the spy mission, and this method has a terrifying name. My fingers trembled upon the keyboard as they wrote this. Method 4. The hat that kills you. Back in the Wizard Tower, I go to the seldom used Other Altar and enchant the hood with 5 fire damage on self. It also needs to be named in such a way that it is first in alphabetical order in the victim's inventory. I also make a Fortify Sneak on self spell to ensure that the reverse pickpocket actually works. Explanation time. When you reverse pickpocket an equipable item into an NPC's inventory, they will equip it if they don't have anything better in their inventory. However, you cannot reverse pickpocket items with any weight, and the hood is one of the very few clothing items in the game that have a weight of 0. It also needs to be first in alphabetical order for them to recognize it. This is a very finicky system, but it works. NPCs also do not equip it immediately. You need to leave the area and not wait 3 days. That's a new one. Then at a random point in time, they might equip it.
How goes it?
Because I've been playing this game for most of my life at this point, I just know who the spies are. So I go to their house and plant the hood on the first spy. Then, a couple days later, at a seemingly random point in time,
we got him.
Just need to find their body. There we go. One down. Then I sneak the hat onto Jurl. And they die as I'm fast traveling, which is kinda weird.
Excellent work. I knew I could count on you.
In order to retrieve the Amulet of Kings, we need to open a portal to Menkar Cameron's paradise. In order to do that, Martin tells me that we need a Daedric artifact.
The blood of a Daedra lord.
I think I'm gonna get a Zora star, but before heading over to it, I need to prepare the next thing on my list. I'm heading into battle, and I need my strongest potions. As you can probably guess, that means we're doing alchemy. So I spend a little time farming grapes and tomatoes outside Skingred. Once I feel I have enough, I combine them. These potions aren't for anything, it's just to level my alchemy so that the real concoction is more potent. And with that done, I need 4 specific ingredients to make what I want to make. Ectoplasm, which I farm from ghosts in the Skinguard Chapel Undercroft, Steel Blue Entaloma Cap, which grow in the Imperial City Elven Gardens district, Fly Amanita Cap. I'm not great at guessing numbers, but I think there's about 12,000 of them growing in Green Emperor Way outside the palace in the Imperial City. And lastly, Imp Gall. Once you buy the storage upgrade for the Wizard Tower, there's an infinitely respawning group of imps in your basement. With a decent supply of each item, I combine them all for a very powerful poison. Also, just to make things go a little smoother, I make a weakness to poison spell too. Travelling all the way to Azura's Shrine could take over a minute. In order to save time, I go to the Wizard Tower and make 3 fortified speed spells. Then I go and buy a horse.
The black horses of Cheydinhal are the finest in all of Cyrodiil. None are faster, and only the white horses of Anvil are strong.
And boost his speed by about 300. Much better. I make an offering to Azura, who tells me to go clear out a cave full of vampires.
Bring the piece of death to my followers, and you shall earn my gratitude.
In the cave, I shoot some weakness to poison, oil up my bow, and... okay, just dead in 1 hit from full health. Cool. Thankfully on this attempt he just decided to accept its fate. But we can also see that the poison is very effective. I spend a little time poisoning everyone and running away until they die, and I don't know what was going on with this guy. Try as you may, you cannot outrun my potions. Turns out the weakness to poison isn't necessary at all, because this guy just melts. And just like that, my potions have accomplished more than any weapon could. So I go back for the star, and then give it to Martin.
Ah, Azura's star. As beautiful as all the tales tell.
He then tells me to check in with Joffrey.
You should talk to Joffrey.
I've just received word from the Countess of Bruma that an Oblivion gate has opened outside the city. Captain Bird is waiting for you outside the Bruma city gate.
Down at the gate? I don't think this army's up to it, so I'm gonna go make my own. Method 6. Juggy is building an army. For this one, I'm going to amass a few followers who will follow me around and do everything for me. I don't need a lot, but the best place to start is Coral. Reynold Germain complains about people asking him if he's ever been to Cheydinhal, and he asks me to go find the imposter.
You're going to travel to Cheydinhal.
In Cheydinhal, it turns out it's his long-lost brother, who just believes me immediately, drops everything and travels across the country to see him.
I'll need to go see him at once.
They ask me to go find their lost manor in the woods, Weatherly. So I do that, and I go back.
Show me what
The
you've
time
got.
for cleansing is almost here. I do not fear death.
By the divines. This person's dead.
I tell Gilbert it's not safe at Weatherly, and he tells me to go back and kill the ogres. So I go back, kill some ogres, go back, and then they ask me to take them to Weatherly, only this time we're not going back. These two guys will follow me around forever until we reach Weatherly. Normally, I would cut out all that extra stuff, but the story of the Germains will actually be relevant later on. In the meantime, my next stop is Leowyn. Mazoga the Orc wants to go to Fisherman's Rock.
Weebamna won't take me to Fisherman's Rock. Take me there, now!
See? So I tell her to follow me. We're just gonna make a quick stop in Skingrad. The Mages Guild recommendation quest here wants me to save Earthor from a nearby cave. So the squad and I clear out some zombies and get Earthor,
I'll be right behind you.
who wants to go back to Skingrad. I think it goes without saying, I don't care about where any of these guys want to go. Lastly, I create an Atronach in my wizard tower with a couple void salts. And just like that, my dream team is assembled. We meet Bird outside the city walls, and we venture into the gate. In here, I barely need to do anything. We simply overwhelm any enemies with sheer numbers. I also take more of a support role, using a paralysis spell to make the kills even easier for my army. I actually feel kinda bad for this guy. We ascend to the top of the tower with ease, and I grab the sigil stone. I reset until I get what I want, but this time, for storytelling purposes, I'm not going to tell you what it is yet. With the gate closed, I'm free to move on to the next part of the main quest, but before I retire my army, I'm going to use them to grab just a few things. First, I take them all the way down here to do the Mehrunes Razor quest. This is probably the longest dungeon in the whole game. There are just so many enemies. After almost an hour, I reach the final room, easily dispatching of Frathen Drothan, getting his blade turn hood, as well as the eponymous Mehrunes Razor. I then start heading over here in order to farm some equipment, but on the way, I'm hit with a glitch that I've never seen before. What is wrong with my map? After restarting, I go to my destination, run over here, and quick save by this hatch. Pretty much any item in the game can spawn in this container, and it's only determined when you go through the hatch. If it's not the one I want, I load back and enter again, and a new item will be waiting for me. I'm looking for 2 specific items here. But after around 20 minutes, I don't find what I'm looking for, but the Ring of Perfection is just too good to pass up. To reset this farm, go somewhere and wait for 3 days, same as everything else. Then come back to farm more. After about 40 minutes, I get the first target item, the Necklace of Swords. And only about 5 minutes later, I get the other item, the Ring of the Iron Fist. With that done, I now need to return the Gemains to Weatherly.
Thanks so much for getting us here safely.
Because this triggers a quest with Fathiz Ulas in Coral. After listening to his life story, finally, he just wants me to go kill an ogre in a cave to get some sword. Before doing that, I reached level 25. The item you get for doing this quest scales with your level, and the highest tier possible is at level 25. Over in the cave, Mazoga dies, because she, for whatever reason, isn't marked as an essential NPC like all the other guys are. Oh well. I kill the ogre, get the sword, and then I return it to the Count of Coral instead, because they give me a shield that I want.
The Escutcheon of Coral.
Before advancing any further, it's time to get rid of our only remaining follower.
I hope we'll get to Skingrad soon.
Yeah, we're almost there, buddy. Our next quest is to retrieve the blood of a god. Martin says we need to go all the way over to Sanker Tor, so I skooma walk there, and here I can execute my next strategy. Method 7. The Daedric Slot Machine. This one is by far the biggest cope on the list. I don't know if it's actually good or not. Mehrunes Razor has the Daedric Banishing effect. This gives it a chance to instantly kill the target regardless of their HP. It scales with luck, and I happen to have an amulet to boost my luck by 10. This means each time I hit an enemy, I have around a 3% chance to instantly kill it. So the move here is to quick save, paralyze an enemy, and then just swing until it dies. Sometimes I get lucky, and sometimes I don't. But in the second room of the dungeon, disaster strikes. In Oblivion, the dagger needs charge to proc its insta-kill effect. I simply forgot about that, because in Skyrim, it doesn't. So I not only need to get lucky with this effect, I need it to happen quickly so I don't run out of charges. I still have a couple soul gems on me from one of the other things, so these need to last. The first undead blade goes down pretty easy. So does the next one. I die to a few more wraiths. and this one even bugs out on me. Oh, come on. Another issue is that the skooma walk has severely damaged my intelligence, and it's not temporary either. The active effects tab says nothing, so with reduced max magicka, soul trapping and paralyzing is a lot more awkward than it needs to be. The third undead blade goes down relatively smoothly, but at this point I'm getting low on charges and soul gems. I need the remaining enemies to die in the first couple of hits if I'm gonna make it out of here with this stupid dagger. The path to the last 2 blades is rough, but the 2 wolves within me both love gambling, so this was actually kind of fun. In this corridor, I use my final soul gem, so that means I just have 17 swings to get out of here. So I run past every remaining enemy, or at least I try to, and then for the penultimate undead blade. The heart of the cards were just not with me on this one. This took so long that I started to think he was somehow immune to it, but after around 9 minutes of attempts, it finally worked. I don't know what that guy's deal was. As for the last blade, he just gets absolutely destroyed. After killing this ghost, I only have around 6 charges left, so I just run past everyone to the end and grab the armor. After leaving, I fix my intelligence in a chapel, and then return the armor to Martin.
The armor of Tiber Septim himself.
He then tells me the next thing I need is a Great Welkin Stone.
The third item we need is a Great Welkin Stone.
Which means it's time to uncork the next strategy. Method 8. The Mirror Code. Shield is a spell that negates a certain amount of damage you would receive for the duration of the effect. If you make a 100% shield spell and then find some enemies, you are surprisingly not invincible. Good foresight on Bethesda's part here to not have something so grossly overpowered. However, the same cannot be said for the strictly better reflect damage, so I equip the Blade Turn Hood, the Escutcheon of Coral, Ring of the Iron Fist, and the Necklace of Swords in order to achieve 111 damage reflection. Now I can just be a nonchalant guy and walk to the end peacefully. Until I get killed by an arrow because they're exempt from the reflection, for some reason. After peacefully walking all the way to the end and getting the great stone I came here for, I get ambushed by a lich, and I just wait for the reflect damage to do the job for me. Forget this, I'm getting a day drop in here. Upon returning to Martin, he informs me of the final thing we need to enter Mankar Cameron's paradise.
A great sigil stone, then, is what we require.
Before beginning, I buy a full suit of fur armor, a fur suit if you will, and I'm going to do the scroll duplication glitch to get multiples of the sigil stone from earlier. The line between glitch and exploit gets a little fugazi in these videos, and I could easily just use the reflect gear to walk through some gates in order to get more of these, but I don't really want to do that, so I'm just going to do this. Double click a scroll you have multiples of in your inventory, drop an item, and then an amount of that item equal to the amount of the scroll you chose will be dropped instead. I enchant all of my armor with this mystery enchantment, and head to Bruma to convince the Count to allow us to do this.
Martin would risk my whole city to gain a great sigil stone? Very well.
Oh, that was easy. All like 9 people in Bruma cheer us on.
Martin, Martin, Martin!
And then we make it to the area where the battle will take place. Martin hypes everyone up. And now, at the peak of the action, with everything on the line, it's time to unleash what was by far the most requested, nay, demanded strategy from the comments of the last video. Method 9. The People's Strategy. It's just 100% chameleon. You just walk around and no enemies acknowledge you. A couple thrilling minutes later, I ascend to the top and close the gate. We now have everything we need, and we are now ready to retrieve the Amulet of Kings. Once in paradise, as is tradition, you gotta visit the spectral mud crab. Look at him. After that's done, you can peacefully walk through most of the garden, avoiding enemies. I don't really feel like fighting Cathatet, so we're gonna subject him to horrors beyond our comprehension. The geography of Paradise offers some unique opportunities for kills. Method 10. Environmental kills. Paralyzing Cathatet in the water can drown him, but it takes a really long time, and I don't have a paralysis spell long enough. But if I stack a couple weakness to magic spells on him, I can make my 10-second paralysis last around 45 minutes. With the Bands of the Chosen, I can now enter the Forbidden Grotto. In here, I mainly just use my Daedroth, but when the chance arises, I can use paralysis to dunk some guys into the lava. No. I also get Eldamil on my side.
I can help you.
I do need to be careful, however, because the enemies here will do the same thing to me given the chance. After doing it a few more times, I reach the end and go to meet Mankar Cameron. My original plan here was to turn Cameron into a sweet roll with the Wabbajack and eat him, but the Oblivion Wabbajack is way less zany than the Skyrim one, and thinking now, I would probably destroy the amulet, wouldn't it? Would have been funny though. I try using it anyway, but Mankar Cameron isn't even affected by the Wabbajack in this game. So I run around shooting my summons with the Wabbajack for a bit, just kind of hoping something would happen. But when it doesn't work, I just whip out the razor and one-tap him. Maybe the strat is legit. I give the amulet to Martin, and he wants to go to the Imperial City to relight the Dragonfires.
Let's go to the Imperial City at once.
Our coronation is interrupted by Daedra, and at this point I'm kind of out of strategies for killing enemies, so I just run away. Is that title card worthy? Sure, why not, just put it up there. Running away, yeah, that's good. But before relighting the fires, we need to do one thing. We gotta check what the Wabbajack does to Mehrunes Dagon. Oh yeah, that's it. I think he's dead. I don't know, he's still moving around a little. Oh yeah, that's not good. I load back, and then just run straight to the Temple of the One and end the Oblivion invasion. And that is my collection of the best strategies to survive max difficulty Oblivion. Another special thanks to our channel member. I don't do great with outros. See ya.